I introduced him as one of the tech masterminds behind this symposium. Well, he still is. Elia Brodsky is one of the co-founders of Pine Biotech and serves as CEO. His background is in applied mathematics and data science, and currently completing a degree in business and management from Tulane. But you haven't been working on that this week. But before I pass the mic to him, I want to remind you one more time to make sure you register at omixlogic.com for your free learning portal. And as soon as Elia comes on the screen, I'll post that link one more time just in case. And again, that's a free sign up, so go at it. So back to the matter at hand, Mr. Brodsky oversees the strategic development of research projects and manages the team responsible for bioinformatics analysis, training, collaborations for Biotech, and a big part of the symposium. So ladies and gentlemen, let's kick off with Elia. It's all yours.
Thank you, Grant, and thank you to all the speakers before me. I'm also going to share my screen. And I will speak a little bit on why we are here today. What is the goal of actually bringing together the whole community? And I hope to kind of connect the different parts of this symposium. And in general, this symposium really represents what we do throughout the whole year, even though the symposium only happens twice a year. So first of all, let me tell you a little bit more about what we do and how what we do fits in with what we see as a community consensus about bioinformatics training and kind of the current challenges and gaps and what currently exists. So one of the challenges I think we just heard from Dr. Kasoulas mention how different universities, different networks, different branches of the same network can have very different opinions about what bioinformatics training and needs are. And I think that there are ways to work more efficiently and faster outside of that framework of academic institutions to really address these challenges at scale, right? Because that's one of the problems here is that bioinformatics degrees, data science degrees, they tend to be really narrowly focused on this unique combination of engineering and biological skills or biomedical skills, and therefore exclude the majority of the students that are just not exposed to the domain and are not able to appreciate the way that this skill set fits into their future research. So another component here is that bioinformatics training is really not a single track. Not only is it a very dynamic kind of a field where all the time you have new methods, new skills, new types of data, it is also something that varies across many different domains. So for example, if you're learning oncology as opposed to applying bioinformatics in infectious diseases, maybe the types of skills that you're expected to have vary as you advance in those fields, right? In the beginning, they might look very similar, but as you advance, those types of databases, methods, maybe specific types of questions that you need to be able to answer, they start to be very, very different. And that's why we kind of arrived at this set of fundamental principles that guide our OmicsLogic program. And that includes being able to combine several of these essential elements into a training experience. And those are the courseworks, practical activities, and case studies and projects, which really I hope that you were able to experience in these couple of sessions that we had over the past 2 days. Coursework, of course, relates to just traditional elements, modules, if you will, that kind of take a particular topic, data type, or a question and break down how that topic could be understood, mastered, or even just kind of applied in a specific way. Practical activities, a lot of MOOCs, online training, coursework exist out there. You can watch lectures, you can learn about fascinating topics, but really you get to experience the component of problem solving and challenge, kind of addressing different challenges that arise from data when you start working on things with your own data sets and in your own kind of a project. So practical activities that we have include building pipelines and understanding the logic of bioinformatics pipelines, but also a lot of coding in both Python and R to really understand how to clean data, wrangle data, prepare it for analysis, visualize your data, and also apply different statistical and machine learning techniques, either specific to the domain of bioinformatics or really in a more generic way. And finally, this component of case studies, I think, is very important because, as I mentioned, these domains vary as you get more and more deep into the project. And so we've been working to source high-quality, curated data sets from publications that have an impact in a particular field or domain and prepare them as case studies that are open-ended. So you get started as a tutorial, and at the end, you can kind of use that data set in many different ways. So it introduces you to the topic, gets you into the topic deep enough for you to understand the context, but still the ending is open. And another, I think, challenge is to really have clear objectives and outcomes that are measurable. And so the way that we do it is we try to address this question of what do students need to know for them to get started, right? And I think that's a different question from what do they need to know to master a particular topic. Because the majority of the students are not going to pursue a full degree in bioinformatics, and they're not going to specialize with those bioinformatics skills to address a specific topic. I think what's more reasonable to expect is for them to be familiar with the way bioinformatics is used in various domains, and then to determine whether they will participate as a user, as an algorithm developer, as a technician, or potentially a person who is involved in the conversation, right? And so because of this dynamic technology and software and tools that are being developed, this is an important aspect to just introduce them to this field, I think, early on. Now, another topic that we already heard throughout this whole symposium as well is that, bottom line, you have to be allowed to not only play with kind of small demo data sets, but actually work with larger data sets. And that requires processing power for large data sets and effectiveness of how your code is organized, and maybe help from a technical team that can prepare your pipeline for those larger data sets. So that's why we are kind of focused on collaboration with academic and industry partners to make sure that those tools are available as well. And I think finally, another challenge is with faculty, right? Because when we speak about introducing bioinformatics at an earlier stage, that means that the faculty have to be comfortable introducing those topics at an earlier stage to answer questions, to maybe, guide and monitor progress of students, evaluate them. And I think that's another set of challenges that really we would like to, find a solution for, because it is extremely difficult, I think, in some areas to attract faculty who are trained and well-versed in the domain of data science and bioinformatics, and ultimately having to deal with a variety of topics that they might not be prepared to do. So this is kind of like our operational motto, which is SOS, standardization, organization, is systematization, right? So how can we take fragmented curricula about bioinformatics applications in many different domains, find a way to agree on what all of them need to cover, and organize them in such a way that they could be systematized and implemented in basically any place, from top universities to universities that maybe are liberal arts and not exposed too much to the area of data science and biomedical research in general. And another aspect of that is really bringing it earlier on in this journey of a student so that they can master and embrace the terminology and the kind of thinking behind data, obviously mastering skills as they go along and as they choose the specific direction and focus of their own journey and path. I think what's helpful in the context of organizing and kind of structuring these things is Bloom's taxonomy of learning, where we kind of see from basic to more advanced how the learning actually happens, and start to introduce that into what we call training in bioinformatics. And that means from kind of knowing terminology, knowing specific details and elements of what bioinformatics is, like genomics, how do you know what genes and mutations are, to eventually kind of growing in your ability to analyze, use tools and algorithms and techniques, and eventually becoming creative. And that's why we kind of organized our resources in such a way that anyone for free can register on our portal and start the learning process, and then develop skills that they would need and a logic behind the analysis that they really need to potentially become experts, or just become aware of these topics and being able to try them at least before they commit to a long-term and demanding path to mastering bioinformatics and data science skills in full. Now, with the help of organizations like National Association of Idea Principal Investigators, as well as many other collaborators that we work with, be it academic or industry experts, we have developed this core set of topics that we cover in our training. And that includes an introduction, a very high-level introduction to bioinformatics and different omics data types, deeper into different specific types of data that are commonly used, like genomics, transcriptomics, metagenomics, epigenomics, and then more technically into the area of coding and specific statistical and machine learning algorithms that we kind of put under the umbrella of data science. Beyond that, we also have divided the areas of our training into the domains of oncology, infectious diseases, neuroscience, and agriculture. Now, I realize that that might not cover every possible application of omics, as we heard even today, in beauty, wellness, in space, in other domains, but nevertheless, it's a framework for us to kind of start expanding from the basic set of skills into more specialized. And as we are able to build relationships and kind of find areas of mutual interest, we hope to further expand the number of specialization tracks and expand the number of project examples and experts that can lead those specialization tracks across the board. Excuse me. So one of the, I think, important parts of working with complex data is being able to utilize complex algorithms without knowing how to overcome technical challenges with coding. And so we offer both coding and no coding paths to mastering bioinformatics. And I think that is a prerequisite really for biologists to be able to get started. And we have quite a number of good examples of individuals that came from a life sciences and clinical background that are able to leverage such tools to get started, and eventually that builds enough momentum for them to take on a more technical skill that they see as a necessary requirement for what they want to do. And doesn't kind of introduce this feeling of, oh, I have to do a full degree in engineering now that I have already maybe multiple degrees in life sciences to just even get started, right? I think it kind of helps push them over the board, over that first threshold, and gives them momentum to keep going. I think that, again, this is more about kind of making sure that you're addressing a set of outcomes as you are planning these kinds of degrees. But I think this is very important for, planning and developing a strategy for effective implementation, right? When we come to outcomes and measuring those outcomes, we have to have a very good sense of what that is in the short term as well as in the long term. And I think that what we have discovered for our participants is that, this is a very long-term process. Someone might get introduced to a specific project in the summer and then have the time and availability to take a full course in the winter. or maybe complete it the next summer. And so that's why we have focused on kind of a profile that you build over time. And building that profile includes a technical measurement, like gaining points for completing coursework or practice exercises, as well as more of an open-ended portfolio that you can start building from, connecting your portfolio on LinkedIn, let's say, connecting your publications on OrcID, developing independent research projects and being highlighted for those projects, winning prizes or presenting them at different conferences. So really, that's where we hope that students that participate in such training can build out their personal profile, having that as a place that they can also share and apply for opportunities in research as well as industry positions. And so we kind of have these tools for tracking progress with points, as I mentioned, research assessments where we bring mentors to evaluate the efforts and the projects that students prepare, and then bringing together life and data sciences. What we mean by that is really trying to expand beyond a narrow focus of bioinformatics skill sets to be able to talk about actual biological questions or biomedical questions that are being answered in the context of mentorship and projects. And I think today was an excellent way to kind of see that in practice, right? All of the different projects that we saw that got the prizes, but also we have a full page on learn.omixlogic.com where students have already submitted tens of projects that they have completed either individually or in teams from around the world, from places like Louisiana State University, Georgetown University, Amity University in India, and universities in Ghana. So we really have this international representation of different teams and projects that have been completed by students working through these this kind of training. Now, as Grant already mentioned several times, this is free to get started and really affordable, I hope, across the world to get into. We offer very low fees for a basic subscription, and I think very affordable fees for specialized training, but you can start for free. So I do encourage all of you to, if you don't have an account yet, go to learn.omixlogic.com/sign up, and there you can sign up and create a profile. Now, another resource is our group on LinkedIn, where we post regularly job opportunities and opportunities to learn from experts in this field. So you can join there and also learn about those, build your connection and make sure that people know about you as well. Now, briefly, let's talk about this symposium and what we have done over the past couple of days. We still have a few speakers that are going to present today, but yesterday we heard about this need for bioinformatics training and research in India and in Africa, had an excellent discussion about, I think what we really see is that local efforts are almost as equally as important as international, right? And so instead of trying to say that, this is one center that will do everything for everyone, really what it is there's a community that needs to share and exchange opinions and kind of best practices to be able to build natural locations where this kind of training can happen. And also we heard about the need to actually go and translate those early efforts in training into translational research, where data from data scientists or maybe students or citizen scientists can be analyzed locally. So Indian challenges are maybe different from African challenges, different from challenges in the US, right? And so building out that community and pool of talent locally is critical for those communities. And so we heard quite a few successful programs that are being developed in those regions. And we hope that our regional teams in Africa and in India and in South America could be a part of that effort as well. Now, we also heard about the India Partnership Program, quite a number of universities that have signed up to that, which means that they will contribute their content and benefit from the type of resources that we make available. And that includes some of these great universities like Amity University and others there. We also heard today and yesterday from great speakers from both Louisiana State University or Louisiana Biomedical Research Network, from international locations like Dr. Joseph Borg, interesting applications of new technologies like single cell from Sweden. And we heard about the T-Bioinfo platform from the Tauber Bioinformatics Research Center. So it really was exciting to see how these different locations are offering interesting insights into different applications of bioinformatics. And we heard today, and we saw judges kind of give evaluation to student projects, which are starting to follow the lead of these experts, right? So we saw projects in space, in oncology, different applications to different kinds of biomedical areas of biomedical and basic research. And I think that was really exciting to see that we actually see this translation of ideas from, such presentation as this, where an expert speaks about what they're doing, and then students being able to pick up on that, find project or data sets and kind of develop their own independent projects. So I think that is really a validation and a path forward for us to move further into kind of building out this international community. So another component that we announced was the listing of jobs and opportunities for internships that you can find remotely in your area or by moving to a new location. So we have this new page that will continue to grow and expand job listing on our portal, and we will link it to your profile so that you can actually showcase your skills, your effort, and your project examples that you've completed to be able to be more successful at applying to those positions. I think these events kind of bring together an international community. So it was really exciting to see these projects that got highlighted as the best ones by independent judges that didn't even know about each other in some cases, but they have agreed on the best technical and research project altogether on a competitive topic, the most innovative approach in an established domain, and a promising research direction for future potential. And knowing these individuals, some of them, and interacting with them, I've really seen their growth, both in technical ways, but also conceptually, that they were able to not only follow somebody's tutorial and somebody's guidance, but also start bringing new ideas, not from just being creative and kind of thinking about something, but from analyzing data. So really data-driven research projects that came from students who are, basically not very experienced yet, but have been able to do this nevertheless. So really exciting to see that. Another component that we don't talk too much about, but I think industry participation, right? So we heard a little bit about that, but we also heard about interesting opportunities for students that master data science and bioinformatics to be innovative and provide practical solutions to real challenging problems. So for example, in our last symposium, we heard from individuals that work in bioinformatics at the therapeutic companies like Camp4, or companies that are developing infrastructure for bioinformatics and for teaching bioinformatics like Google. Or we had hosted panel discussions and experts from the FABA Academy that talk about industry perspectives on bioinformatics and biotechnology in general. So I think that's another very important component to what we're doing, because ultimately there's not a place in academia for everyone to succeed in the long term. And I think that knowing about those opportunities outside, and also for companies to know that talent is being developed and is growing, that is also an important agenda for what we do. We will talk a little bit more in our next slide about the significance of taking bioinformatics training further to address these two important needs, and that is the diverse types of data that continue and develop. We heard today about nanopore. We heard yesterday about 10x genomics. Probably recently, most of us have been paying attention to genomics and the price of sequencing going dramatically down. That leads into the need for, I think, a broader framework for analysis, integration, modeling, and visualization of different types of data. And so that is a recurring topic and challenge that I think we will see being addressed in the future. And for us, what that means is that we really need to focus on making that continuous workflow from raw data to interpretable biological insights that can integrate effectively across these different technologies. And so I was really happy to see, Dr. Julia Panov and also Elizaveta Taranenko, who showed advances on the T-Bioinfo platform that we also offer as a tool in the training that we offer and as a commercial solution for our research partners. But that is really exciting to see that, this solution exists and continues to evolve and develop to address these important needs in single cell, or in the future in multi-omics integration, user-friendly multi-omics integration as well. Just a brief reminder of what we heard yesterday. We heard about machine learning and multi-omics integration in the area of single cell research from Dr. Nikolai Oskolkov from Sweden. We heard about interdisciplinary forensic sciences, integration of omics technologies in forensics. And I thought that was really interesting from Dr. Sarah Zapico. We also talked about networks and graph theory in application to databases for patients in oncology. And we heard about precision medicine in pediatric oncology and the way bioinformatics is informing state-of-the-art in new emerging places like Brazil. So really fascinating set of topics that I hope we can use to turn into another set of case studies and kind of leverage these connections to offer students opportunities to explore these topics in much greater depth than what we heard there. Now, we also heard today about solutions in medical informatics, which obviously is kind of the other side of the coin when we talk about bioinformatics and omics technologies. It's really about how to integrate them in many cases into that clinical workflow. So we heard about predictive analytics, clustering, time series analysis, classification, and others. And I hope that those topics are really, something that ultimately converges, because omics technologies can inform a lot of those questions as well. Another presentation that was really exciting for me to hear is the presentation about the CPGR bioinformatics network, or this effort in South Africa, where we see them being able to both train, support research, but also include services into their model so that they are successful, at addressing industry and academic needs. So really great presentation there. And finally, maybe one of my favorites was bioinformatics in the beauty industry from Dr. Raya Khanin, who talked about her company, but also in general, the need and interest in developing new targeted, personalized solutions for wellness and specifically for beauty. And I think that, that's a component that aligns well with what Dr. Kasoulas mentioned about entrepreneurship. Ultimately, states can invest, government funding and research funding into research projects, so getting more grants. But there's also a component of innovation and entrepreneurship that exists, and I think that's a way to translate these ideas and innovation and skills out of highly specialized and qualified students into this industry domain. So as a result of, partially this presentation, but also our internal planning, we are going to host a bioinformatics hackathon focused on omics wellness and also health. So we're going to make available some publicly available data sets that have been curated. We will make tools available for specific types of analysis related to this domain, and we will work with our academic and industry partners to organize this hackathon in November. So November 17 to 22, this year, we will host this hackathon, and then we will present the results of this hackathon at a later date. But the ultimate product here will be that each individual will be able to join a team. build an actual application and then publish and share that application that we will host for 1 year with our industry partners, so that anyone can try and use that and you see that as an MVP, as a prototype for some practical use case in the omics, wellness, and health domain. So with that, I also want to mention that right after this symposium, our team is actually going to continue working on expanding our code or no-code bioinformatics paths on the OmicsLogic portal, and we are excited to be able to, bring this across the network that we heard about today, the National Association of Idea Principal Investigators, and work with those partners to make sure that it is more accessible and effective throughout the whole network. And because of these efforts and because of gradual progress that we are making with these relationships, it is really exciting to be now seeing the results of this effort across the network. So we recently shared this update. We have individuals from University of Hawaii, University of Nebraska, Delaware, and others that have graduated from this training. So really, I think it's over 100 people that have gone through this training from across the network. And we are now also going to announce new research fellowship opportunities for students that have basic skills that would like to work over the next few months on developing independent research projects, leveraging bioinformatics and leveraging their skills that they will be able to use. And finally, my last slide, we're excited to be selected as the semi-finalists, for the EdTech Cup in New York, the largest EdTech accelerator in the US. So we will be sharing more information about this in the coming days, and we hope that you will support us in that journey as well. So again, thank you. And with that, I will leave some time for questions.
Great. Thanks again, Elia. You did mention interest in Dr. Kanan's work. Is that due to need in the beauty area? I just thought I'd ask it. Never mind. So we wanted to get to some questions. Here's one from the chat, and this is a long one, so we'll go here. It seems that OmicsLogic is all about medicine, health, etc. It seems other domains are less targeted till now. Please, could you lead me where to find omics related to the fisheries, aquaculture domain, environmental DNA, etc. And then, or how can we use the Omnilogics platform to bring improvements to the domains that I just mentioned?
Yeah, excellent question. So I think one of our challenges is actually finding a long-term relationship around those topics and significant interest in those topics for people to be able to kind of, fully develop and leverage those resources. So we do have people that have worked on fishery and environmental projects. We just don't have enough volume to turn those into actual kind of specialization tracks. So yes, you can still use bioinformatics, and OmicsLogic provides resources to be able to do that. And also, yes, we would love to work with others who are, experts in those domains to prepare those specialization tracks. And I hope to see that just over the next few months, actually, because we have worked on those briefly over the summer.
Seems like omics is touching literally everything. It's such a great post suffix, as it were. So what are some of the specific objectives taken for development, promotion, and improvement of data-centric research experienced by OmicsLogic?
Well, one of the major objectives for us is to allow students to go even further. So right now, we're kind of at the stage where a student can develop their project and talk about it, right? Share it. What we would love to do is take it further by showing that they can actually develop solutions with those skills. And by that, I mentioned the hackathon. That would be one of the first steps in that direction, is to allow them to build applications that other people can use, leveraging these efforts that they have, analyzed data, created a model, maybe created a database or something like that. So really create a platform for applications. And then as we develop that, I think that will lead into the next phase where we will offer support to research projects or to even innovative entrepreneurial ideas to take that further as well.
Okay. What are the bioinformatics skills that the OmicsLogic research and training program intend to enhance?
Well, like I mentioned, we want to provide a universal education about bioinformatics, but I think there's a lot of effort in that domain already. We want to provide specialized skills that are data science, coding, data management, data wrangling, data visualization, things like that. But I think what is important is that within that broad umbrella of skills is also the integration with biology or life sciences skills, application in this domain, and soft skills, right? Being able to think critically, come up with innovative solutions, communicate your results, things like that, right? So that's really why our program, I think, is different, is because we put that emphasis on logic and developing logic based on data, and also providing opportunities for them to interact, speak, and describe their projects as well.
Cool. I got one more for you. If we can keep it under 60 seconds, I'm going to challenge you. How can the student and research community benefit from the training provided by the Omnilogics programs platform to gain research experience?
I think the best way is to find a mentor. We have a network of mentors, and develop an independent research project. So the research fellowship is really the best program for that.
Great. Elia, it was great to hear about all these updates, and it looks like we have an exciting path ahead. We hope that after the event, we get to further discuss the way all of these international efforts can be coordinated for the benefit of all the students and young researchers that are learning and applying data science and biomedical research. So thank you so much.